Me?
What's your stunt double's name?
Yeah.
That's Bob Elmore. Bob Elmore. I'm going to start the questions off because this is one I think everyone would maybe be interested in. There's some filmmakers, artists, actors, and stuff in the house today. So, what was it, the process of being cast as Leatherface, a silent character? Like, what did you go through to get that role? What was the auditions like?
Well, as you know, typically on audition you get a script and you read, they say yes or no. No script. But I knew how to lust after someone. So I worked the hell out of that. It was weird. I don't know exactly what I did, but whatever it was, they liked it. So
Walk us through walking through the room. Like when you walked in, did you cast like?
oh yeah, right. Pat Orseth was the casting director here in Austin. Walked in the room, everybody's smiling, hi. And young lady, I don't think it was Caroline at that time. And they gave me a board about this long and about that wide, and said, "All right, this is your chainsaw. Go to it." Well, I just figured I could just take her clothes off with my eyes. That worked for them. Then I started, to breathe heavy and drool. And then they said, cut. So I had a call back with Toby and Kid Carson, the writer, and the other casting directors, and Caroline. Toby liked it a lot, so he had Caroline do like the same 3 lines about 30 times. And Caroline just, "Want to see it again?" Toby goes, "Yeah." "Want to see it again?" She just kept doing that, and Toby was tired of saying yes, and they put us to work in the next week. So I wish I could, be a little bit more. That was great. What are you curious about? What do you really want to know? Yeah, you over there. Yes, what do you want?
I have a question.
Yes.
Okay, my question is, what's on everyone's mind? The crazy little wiggle dance that you do every day.
Yeah!
Is that on your own, or did they write you that? Like, it's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Can you do it for us now?
The good ones.
The Chainsaw Shuffle.
The new Gothic dance. You'll see it at Elysium on Sundays.
Thank you for that good question. Probably this is something no one knows except me and Caroline. I was able to slip her some tongue during that table scene. Yeah, pretty gross. Really gross. She was this trooper. She didn't spit or anything afterwards.
So the question was, did you come up with the dance, or did they direct you for that? I think was the question.
It was spontaneous. Bob actually came up with the format of it, as he had the saw most of the time. Let's see, Lefty, Stretch, me, Bill, all had stunt doubles. The Canon had signed a contract to exhibit this movie by a certain date, and was coming up quick, so they couldn't afford anyone to get hurt. So they had stunt doubles doing everything. Oh, and there was, and even some of the stuff, Bob got sick too. A lot of flu, and I got walking pneumonia. Yeah, I was in bed for a week. So I'm taking meds every 2 hours and living over a vaporizer with water vapor. But thank you. Oh, hey, here's something. When Bubba's run through with the saw, ever curious how that worked? It was the old arrow through the head routine. But around the, yeah. They had it set up so that the wires, there were two, there was the saw body, then there was a pulley loop, and then there was the piece of tubing that went around the body, and then on the other end was another, it looked like it, part of the chainsaw blade, and it was coordinated with the back and the front because there were wires running through, cables running through that piece that wrapped around the body. So it was perfectly synchronized. It looked really good. Really good.
Better TGI.
Yeah. Tom Savini, talking to Tom about his effects, and whenever he does them, they always have this kind of gritty feeling. And I asked him about that, and he said, well, I was a photographer in Vietnam during the war, and I had seen so many dead bodies in so many different shapes and forms and configurations, so that now when I do my work, if I get the same feeling when I see my stuff, I know I'm in the right ballpark. So, that makes sense? Okay. Yeah. Steven, you got a question? Stand up.
Yes. Hey, I was just curious, what's your opinion on the newer Texas Chainsaw Massacres compared to the original that you were doing?
Comparing the our chainsaw to the ones following.
Yeah.
I thought Jeff Burr's, the one that came just after this, the third one, was really strong, and R.A. Mihailov, really tore it up pretty well. The next generation really turned a hard left. And I think, Kim Hinkle directed and wrote that script, and he had worked on the original, the first one that came out in 73. And there was a lady mask. I think Leatherface had 3 masks in that: killing mask, a lady mask, and another one. So I think the cross-dressing thing was already in place. It just didn't come out until then. And I think most people would wish it had stayed in can, because it didn't fly too well. It was a really strange film, very different than any of the others. And after that, it was, I'm trying to think of a really kind of elegant way to put this. Well, there's the Mona Lisa, and there's the Last Supper, but there's no sequel to any of those. There's no Last Supper dessert scene. I thought Aramie, as the older brother that Jim played, was really good in the first remake. The rest of it was kind of, vin ordinaire. There was some eye candy there. There wasn't that much, I think, of anything of interest for a hardcore fan. And then I didn't see the prequel. You didn't miss anything? Well, that might have been the case.
Danny has a question?
I know that you mentioned earlier about having a body double, but
Yeah.
can you talk a little bit about what it was like to do the dueling chainsaw scene with Dennis?
The dueling chainsaw scene. Another occasion to have a stunt double. Dennis did not, neither he or I did the duel, just close-ups. It's still dangerous. These are chainsaws after all. So it was the underground facility was at the location of 4th Street between Guadalupe and what?
San Antonio.
Yeah, and
34 San Antonio and Guadalupe.
thank
The old
you.
American Statesman Building.
There it is.
We got a historian in the house.
I was there.
Yeah. And it was they trucked in like a skrillion tons of dirt and made a giant dike on top of which they flattened out, and you could run equipment over it in vehicles to bring in the furniture and the lights and things. So it was about it was a big corrugated building, corrugated steel with no insulation. It was about 125 in there most of the time. Yeah, it was really hot. Every now and then, between takes, they'd open the side doors. this 40-ton air conditioner on the back of a truck, they backed it in. This hose about this, like that, kind of creeped in and blew a bunch of cold air in, trying to get us cooled down, and then they close it up and run it again. But typically the air was filled with crap. There was all the heat. There were skeletons from the Mid-East. Who knows what cooties came in on those? And they had air cannons that shot Fuller's Earth. It's a super fine powder. And then frankincense sometimes, and also what they called what are the rumble pots? CO2. So there was just crap all over the place in the air. And then before they rolled camera, they sent me on. They sprayed my entire body down with hairspray, and my mask only had 2 areas out of which I could breathe: the eye holes and the mouth. And everything else was covered. So it was probably like 110 inside my suit. Now there was a lot of upper respiratory problems. So I owe a lot of my wheezing to that marvelous piece of film history.
We got a question over here.
Yeah, I was just curious if you got to keep any props or trinkets from working on the movie. What those would be?
Okay, guess statute of limitations are up. I got the suit, the boots, the wig, and the teeth. I did not get the mask. Toby got that. Actually, it was one of the masks were ripped off, and Bob borrowed my mask. He was sick, and I got sick from him. I didn't find out till I met Toby a few years ago. He said, "Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah, he was sick in the flu." So, showbiz is a heartbreaker. Where's the dough?
The film was plagued with like a lot of problems. I mean, we've talked about that before. If you can share about how the last minute shooting, what you did do the last days.
So since Canon Films had they were on the hook for a lot of bucks if they didn't have that film on the screen by X date. So they had someone, they were editing as they were shooting on the set on the the lot. The very last day, July 4th, was going to be the final day. So on July 3rd, Dick Couris, the director of photography, had set up a shooting list for all the things they had to have in order to make the film at least hang together with what they had. So they spent a 24-hour marathon running from July 3rd to 10 a.m. July 4th. when Cannon called and said, "It's over." So they ran from one to the other. So Dick Kurz pulled a lot of this together. Toby was in bed, sick bed. He got pneumonia also. Also, a question posed to Caroline at one of the conventions. "Hey Caroline, what was it like about the chainsaw in your nether region?" Caroline said, "That chainsaw never touched my nethers." Toby said, "You gotta be careful, Bill, get it down a little higher. A little higher there." So, but it looked realistic. By the way, reenactments of that scene, $500. on now.
Any more questions out there? Back there?
What was it like working with Dennis Hopper?
Dennis Hopper. Working with Dennis Hopper was pretty electric. He's a very high energy guy. And very friendly, happy, he's good mood. He liked to have fun, he joked around, always ready, always on time, and had his lines down cold, and very generous about sharing space, and offered his personal, his Winnebago that he had there for his dressing room. So anybody who, if we need to cast at least the principals, we go hang out there if we wanted. He was mostly, when he was in town, he would be out shooting golf with Willie.
Among other things he was doing.
Yeah, he was toking and joking with Willie. And then when he wasn't in town, he was only in town for his scenes. He'd fly back and forth to wherever he was doing the pre-production for Colors that he was shooting with. I think Sean Penn was in that, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's what else he was up to.
Right there in the front.
Oh, sorry. Have you been to the Mean-Eyed Cat here in Austin? That's the
The old Cut-Right Chain Store?
Yeah.
I visited that place many times to bring my personal chainsaw. Little tiny one. Heirloom from the dad. And the guy who ran that was really cool. He was this tall, lanky guy. He was really gnarly looking. His skin was the color of old oil smoke. He was just hard. And he had keen eyes. I said, "Hey, can you sharpen the blade on the saw?" He says, "I can sharpen anything with an edge." And he'd tell me about this. "This is an old Echo. This is a good one. You got to keep that filter clean, though, because that'll..." And, yeah, it was great.
They still have the piece of the stump that was at the front of the...
Yeah, that was a part of the Cut-Right store. He had a giant, piece of tree there. People got to try their chainsaws on. That's pretty much everything that we saw was what his store looked like. I guess he must have passed on. It turned into, was it the Black Hat Lounge?
Yeah, the Mean-Eyed Cat bar. Yeah.
Mean-Eyed?
Mean-Eyed.
Oh, Mean-Eyed.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Bald guy. I can say that former roommate. Bald guy. What's the question, Brian?
Oh, it's so did you get did you at any point work with like real animal entrails and stuff so things look more real, or was it all just fake blood and guts the whole time?
The only thing that I know was real was when Lefty kicked in the wall early on, all his guts came out. Genuine slaughterhouse offal.
Dang.
That had been cooking for days in the Texas heat. It stank. Real bad. The prop crew hired just about every art major from Austin and the college to do the art, all the artwork. There's an incredible amount of art direction here. And they cleaned out every second-hand shop in a 50-mile radius of Austin to get all those lamps. That was insane how many they found. And they had burlap, huge pieces of burlap they used to back carpets, they call it jute. And they had a lot of this covering the ceiling. During one of the shooting days, it started on fire. And some very quick, someone on the crew grabbed a ladder, ran up there and yanked it down. And they put it out. Otherwise, it would have been, pretty horrible. They would have been shooting it too. They would have worked it into the script somehow. In the back, red-haired girl.
Sweet. So obviously, this version of Leatherface is, he's funny, he's kitschy, he's corny. When you were acting as that Leatherface, how much did you take, as far as mannerisms from the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and how much was, Cooper's direction, and how much was your own?
Three questions. One question, 3 parts. Mannerisms. When I got the call for the audition for this movie, I had not seen the movie yet, the first one. So I went out and got it and looked at it and was appropriately frightened. And I knew then that this was like the Mona Lisa. There's not going to be any repeat of this. It's as good as it was ever going to get. So I didn't try to copy Gunner at all, because I thought that would be like trying to whiz up a rope. You ain't going to get there. So since it was a different kind of a special world, where Bubba was working with the modifying spark of humanity, he was in love real bad. So I went more that direction. And Toby did a lot of side coaching. He knew exactly what he wanted, and he told me, all right, now, get that tongue going. Yeah, get those eyes back. Yeah, it's good. And he pretty much talked me through the ice tub scene. Yeah, that's right, Leatherface, get it in there. And he said, Bob made the exit, with the saw. And Bob said, Toby, what do you want me to do? Well, you channel, we gotta get fucking her, for Christ's sake, let's go! So Toby had a firm hand on the directing handle. And it was great, because he knew what he wanted, and he was asking for it, which is great, for you that act, it's really nice to have that. Hey, anyone else? Bar back.
Okay. Are you personally a fan of horror movies? And if so, what are some of your favorites?
I do like some horror movies. I'm not an aficionado of the genre. Horror movies I like that I remember seeing. The Mask. It was 3D. Not the one with Jim Carrey. It was really creepy. It was really
We
nice.
actually have that movie.
You have that one?
We have the Elvira Presents with the 3D glasses on VHS.
Ah, yeah. I thought that was a very scary movie. The Tingler. The Tingler. Watch out, she's coming after you! The Tingler! Yeah, shadow on the silhouette. I like that. The H-Man with, Caltiki. It was set in, I guess, ancient Mexico. where they sacrifice, the virgins, etc., into this deep pool of water. Well, there was this giant monster, flesh-eating monster that was tan instead of black, so it was like a Mexican blob. And it was great how they sucked people through and spit out a skeleton. It was pretty interesting. And Silence of the Lambs. Other scary movies, Apocalypse Now, and almost any day on whatever channel it is that shows the American Senate working. That's the real scary stuff.
Anyone else?
Any comments?
Well, I have another question.
Mm.
Okay, so do you have children or grandchildren or nieces and nephews that all know you as Leatherface?
I did this for my family. No.
So your family doesn't know?
No, yeah, of course. Yeah, they're, it's Uncle Bill. Uncle Bill. But I wish I could tell you something more interesting or exciting.
So you mentioned one thing about Toby Hooper being really demanding on set. So, I mean, was that really difficult to work, getting specifically what he wanted? He had to be doing like hundreds of takes of one thing,
No, not at all. He was fun to work with. He loved what he did. He loved it. When Bill was blasting LG's head open with a hammer, Toby did about 20 takes of that. Bill said between, Toby, is there something wrong I'm doing? Can I do anything else? Toby said, no, I'm loving it. Keep going. Keep going. I want to see it a lot. So, yeah, it's nice when you can make money from your addiction.
What about Drayton and Chop Top? Their dialogue just seems so spontaneous. It's just like a lot of improv, I'm assuming there.
Yeah, Toby was very generous. He says, hey, just make stuff up. Like, lick my plate, you dog pig. Bill made that. And Jim Sedow, he had I don't think he improvised as much as Bill did, but Bill was, speed freak there. This guy, not that he was speeding at all. Bill was the only one who didn't get sick. He was invulnerable. He absorbed everything. This was the greatest time of his life up until that point. He was full of energy and invulnerable to mayhem and just all about it, creating it. His stunt double, Dan Berenger, did an awesome job, and you couldn't tell hardly ever when Bill's stunt double was in. You see Bob's hands; they're like hams, big, powerful, muscular, giant coconut crushing hands. Yeah, send out your love to Bob. His beautiful wife has got cancer, and he's got bills to pay. So give him a howdy, and if he's at a show, go over and say hi and get an autograph from him.
Do we have anything on the back or thing?
For having such a silent role, you have the voice of an angel.
Thank you. It's ironic, I thought. Hey, what irony. Thank you. Thank you. I guess all the classic training just went down the toilet. Trying to talk in my... No, I didn't, actually. I just stopped and I've gone blank.
We have another question in the back of the hand.
So, Breakfast Club pose?
That was Kid Carson. That was one of his ideas. We tried a lot of different ones, and we came up with that, and that was the one they liked. Anybody know about Nubbins? That was Nubbins, the first hitchhiker. I was like supposed to be the first hitchhiker who'd been run over by the truck, and that Bill and Edwin Neal were like twins. Yeah.
You want to give a shout out to any of the projects you're working on right now?
Hey, yeah. I've been doing some independent films. John. And the latest one is Lucid. That's a suspense, kind of horrific, creepy, about nightmares and dreaming and who can you trust and what can you trust, etc. And I have DVDs out there of that in case you'd like to check that out. It's a really, I think, a really fine little movie. Bill and PJ Woodside. And they're working on another film right now, and called Caretakers. Something to do with vampires and the decision when your family members become a vampire and you have a choice whether they should live or die, which way are you going to go with that? That looks interesting. We just bleed them and sell their blood. Cash cow family member.
Anyone else? Right there.
What particular kind of music are you into these days compared to back then when you filmed?
Back then, the music in the film, mostly Bill Moseley had come up with those suggestions. My own musical tastes were probably what you call retro rock nowadays, and I like Telemon, yeah, Rococo period, and now I've been. There's a lot of music I missed. I was on tour for a long time, and my friend introduced me to Marilyn Manson and the Dope Show. And I went, hey, wish I hadn't missed that when it first came out. And Alice in Chains, some pretty cool stuff. So,
Tell them about your songwriting credit. You just were telling me about.
oh, thank you. I wrote Ari Lehman. I see Ari Lehman a lot. He played First Jason, and he has his group First Jason. And talking about songs, and I said I'm working on a song. He goes, send it to me, the lyrics. And it wasn't his taste, but he sent it off to a friend of his. Her handle is Nurse Hatchet, Mistress de Sade, and she does industrial heavy metal. She liked it, so she put together a 3-part, I don't know, a suite, I guess. It's based on sort of like a haiku. So it's Faust at the Crossroads is the first part of this. So it's been on the number. She said it's been #1 since October last year. So I don't know what the industrial heavy charts, what they move like, but so there's still more parts coming up, and I'm kind of psyched about that. And I'm looking forward to exploring that some more. Also gearing up to start. I used to teach performance classes here in Austin from 1975 to about 2001. And I am looking forward to getting back into that and working with actors, because I really like working in that creative area. And a lot of actors are needing training that it's just getting harder and harder to get good training. Usually the voice is the first thing that doesn't get trained with film actors. And I think my voice training helped a lot with me getting this role. Even though I didn't speak. It's that thing that happens just before you do.
All right, anything else?
The crystal ball was clear.
All right, well, I'll tell you what, guys, we're going to do a meet and greet with Bill out at the table. You have Leatherface memorabilia, right?
Lemon face memorabilia.
Leatherface?
And, yeah, and I got DVDs, so come out, say hi, take a look at the photo. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Before we walk out, just wanted to announce again,